in Nigeria, implementing it, monitoring it, building capacity, the good, the bad, the ugly. Run us through, all of that very briefly. And what are some of the lessons you have learned from, or the board has learned from implementing local content across Nigeria's petroleum industry?
Okay, the good is that so far so good. We've been one of the luckiest entities that have received presidential endorsements from President Olusegun Obasanjo. Buhari had the 7 big wins, which was a reinforcement of local content. Jonathan signed it into law. And then also Buhari came again, reinforced it with executive orders. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also reinforced it with the executive orders. So at leadership, we have been very lucky. No president has come to say, oh, local content is a problem. The good is also we have a very structured industry. Operating companies are very, very well organized. They don't want to break the law. So all you need to do is to demonstrate transparency, and that is what we have been doing. Very lucky. So that's part of the good. We have very, very resilient local supply chain. Just give them the enablers, show them that if you invest, you are protected and they will invest. So petans, octans, very, very lucky. The workforce, our demographics speaks very positively of our growth potentials. Very a youth population that is very, very active. So we're not short of manpower. The challenges, like I said earlier, is the binding constraints nationally. Security, infrastructure gaps, energy is a problem. If you're producing, if you're fabricating and you have to depend on diesel, you know what that means. So you find out that that is also a problem. So if you can address our infrastructure deficits, that will even make local content a bit attractive. Lessons learned is that local content is pragmatic. It's a marathon. Change management is very, very important. We've been very careful. Wielding the big stick is not really an exciting option for us, and the patterns, the operators can testify to that. Local content has also been embraced beyond Nigeria. We've also discovered that some of the investments that we wanted to attract, for instance, when we were trying to bring in umbilicals, plants, and then seamless pipes, we realized that the volume of transactions in Nigeria, even though we're leading in terms of gas and oil reserves, but when you look at the project economics, it wasn't too attractive. That was when we started thinking of Africa as the market, and local content has been embraced by African countries under the Brazzaville Accord. So it means that it's possible for you to produce in Nigeria and then export to other African countries. Thanks to the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement Protocol, which we have also signed to, all you need to do is to prove a proof of origin coming from Nigeria and adding value, and then you'll be able to do business beyond Nigeria.
We are seated here on the Nigeria International Energy Summit stage. This year, the theme, Energy for Peace and Prosperity, is the 3rd edition. How would you say platforms like this, and this platform specifically, have helped to drive collaboration, conversation, and hopefully result in positive outcomes for local content?
Okay, I think NIS has achieved its objective. The original thought process around NIS was when you go to OTC, you see the African countries going there. So why don't we create our own platform? So again, Dr. Ibekachuku conceived the idea, and you can see that successfully it's been followed. So what was the objective? To bring African oil and gas or energy industry together. So that has been achieved. If you go around the exhibitions and even the number of ministers that came in, deal structuring is very important. If you don't have enough funnel of projects, then you cannot be talking about local content. So the ability for NOCs to even meet and decide on projects is also very remarkable, thanks to this audience. And then giving us a day, local content, is also very remarkable, because what that means is that other African countries see the benefits of domiciliation in their own countries, and exchanging cards, networking with our own service companies, which means that they can begin to look at business-to-business opportunities. So we're very excited that we have been given a full half day to present local content program, and I believe our service companies will take advantage of this opportunity and meet their peers to discuss business opportunities across Africa.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Dr. Halilu, Director, Corporate Services at the NCDMB. If you have questions, okay, we have our ushers on standby. If you can just quickly raise your hand. We'll take all the questions, perhaps 3 questions at once, and then he'll answer them. So if you do have a question, please signify. Do you have, okay, there are a couple of questions there.
Yes, one there.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Lillian Abao-Korie. I'm from PTDF. Yes, I thought that the objective of NCDMB is basically to make sure that there is proper utilization of indigenous or local manpower, you know, and to ensure that there is transfer of knowledge from the expatriate to the local people in Nigeria, to make sure that before anybody is considered, before expatriates are considered, that the local people are to be considered first. But what is confusing to me is this capacity building, because I know that PTDF mandate is capacity building. We build talent instead of buying talent. So, but here I'm hearing a lot of capacity building, which is making me feel that they are crossing over what PTDF is doing. I'm not being emotional here or being partial here, but I feel that the major work that we do is capacity building. So that the major thing that NCDMB should be doing is making sure that there's proper utilization of manpower that is locally. So I want him to throw more light, you know, why there's more of building capacity instead of local content, you know, monitoring. Thank you.
All right. We'll take note of that.
Yes.
Any other questions? Another here.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Fumi Ogwe, and whilst I'd like to commend the NCDMB for an incredible job over the last 10, 12 years in implementing local content, because I remember when I started in the industry, it was very difficult to find so much capacity all over the place. But my question is, so I know that the board has a platform called NOGOF, Nigeria Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair, where industry players bring all the opportunities so that companies can plan. So my question is how, if you can please speak, you know, say a few words about that platform and how participants here, you know, how do you see it in terms of benefits for players, and how can this be rolled out perhaps across other countries? Thank you.
All right, one more question. Do we have? Okay, there's a gentleman there in yellow.
Okay, my name is Engineer Nicolas Ogbedo, MD/CEO China's AfCFTA Group. My question has to do with a little bit about training in well cementing service and drilling services, and as well gas. Is there any thing that the local content monitoring body is doing as regards that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you for those questions. So on PTDF, yes, so the expatriate quota management system operated by NCDMB allows us to ensure that expatriate quotas are granted to positions only when there's no capacity in country. So how have we structured the system? So first of all, as an operator or a service company, you have to advertise for those positions, so which means the opportunity is available to everybody in Nigeria. There's also a Logic JQS that has over 400,000 individuals registered. That also provides a gateway. It is only when that process is exhausted and there's no Nigerian capacity that we begin to consider granting expatriate quota. And even that comes with succession planning. So there has to be 2 understudies for an initial period of 2 years. Now, I'm aware that NCDMB and PTDF had commissioned a joint project, I think it was managed by Deloitte, to look at synergy opportunities so that what you train, NCDMB can offtake, ensuring that we provide utilization opportunities for them. So I think that's the conversation that our 2 chief executives need to foster to ensure that we also use the PTDF database as our own pipeline of talents. But our act is very clear. Employment and training provision is very clear in the NOGOF. Every project has that provision. And there's also a funding that comes with it. So we must ensure the utilization. So when we talk about the top 10 skills, it is based on the gaps that we have seen. Nothing stops us from having a conversation with PTDF to see how we can both work together to build those capacities. NOGOF platform, as I mentioned earlier, when I was trying to explain the gap analysis and capacity utilization framework, is a forum where NCDMB invites the industry to present their business opportunities over a 5-year horizon. It is that document that we use to identify opportunities. And then we now dimension them into manpower, infrastructure, services, and then determine where should we focus our gap closure interventions. It has proven to be very successful for us in NCDMB. Now, how do we make it a continental affair? It's for us to, there are 2 ways. There's a local content roundtable that usually happens on the back of ministerial meetings of Apple. So we can use that platform or create a separate program that allows us to bring all African countries together to present their projects. Now that we're talking about a common Pan-African template on local content, we can use the approval of the Brazzaville Accord to drive that process. So if we, Fumi is very active in ensuring that the right data is created, so we can have a conversation to see how that can happen. But it's possible for us to make it a continental engagement. Training, Octan exists. The president of Octan's right beside you. So in defining those 10 skills, we worked with Octan. So nothing stops us from engaging. Anywhere there's skill gap, we're there to support. Okay?
All right, thank you very much. I'm sure conversations will continue outside of this panel, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again.